Team India beat USA with a score of 3-1. That was a resounding victory for the team. Vidit led from the top board, beating Hans Niemann. And the other win came from S.L. Narayanan. Let me speak a couple of words about S.L. Narayanan. I think he's one of India's very solid players who is quickly and steadily, sort of steadily, not quickly, steadily moving towards the 2700 mark. He wins tournaments, he plays excellent chess, he's working hard, ambitious. And in this game, he managed to beat Varuzhan Akobian. And you will see how Narayanan is actually, was able to understand all the different elements of the position so well in this complex game. So let's have a look. The game starts off with d4, and Akobian is a very strong player. Maybe now he's a little old than what he was, but he has been like really at the top. I think his highest FIDE elo has been about 2680 or so. Nimzo Indian, e3, castles, bishop d3, d5, knight f3, c5. We are playing the main line of the e3 variation in the Nimzo. And now there are a couple of ways to play. One is Karpov's variation, which is to take, and play b6. The other one is to play DC, bishop c4, and queen c7. I think this is one of the main ways to go. Maybe not queen c7 here, but knight bd7. Actually, it's this way. Sorry, knight c6 is the other main move, and then you play a3, take, DC, bishop c4, and queen c7. This is one of the main lines. But Narayanan plays DC, bishop c4, and a6. He wants to play b5. Opponent goes a3. He takes. Now already a big imbalance is created on the board, and the imbalance is double bishops for white, and he wants to somehow activate this bishop on c1. He would be then doing very well. So let's say, for example, if your opponent plays a move like queen e2, you want to be really careful to allow him to play e4 or not. So for example, a move like knight e4 makes a lot of sense, stopping e4. Because if you are careless and you play knight d7 in such a position, then after e4, white is just better. His bishops open up, e5 is coming up, the bishop is very strong, and so on. a4 was played in the game. So Akobian said, I know, Narayanan, you're not going to allow me to go e4 and open that bishop, so I'll open it from here. Narayanan said, okay, fine, c4, I'm going to keep this closed for the time being. I'm going to develop my knight and put my rook on e8. All good. Queen b1 was played, and now this comes with two ideas. One is to attack this pawn, and if you choose to defend it, then I'm going e4 because the queen also supports here, and then you want to play e5. Very interesting stuff, yeah, by Akobian. And here Narayanan understands everything very well. So it's black to play. What would you do here? Firstly, he chops off the knight and gives white a double pawn. And then he comes up with this move, queen b6. Because now what has happened is, even though white can expand, it is not going to be without repercussions, without having drawbacks. If you play e4, f4 square gets weakened. So, the knight will anyway find a home that way. I think a very good idea here could also have been knight d5, hitting here on c3. I guess Narayanan might have considered it, but didn't like the fact that he had to give up a pawn and go into this variations, which was perhaps not so bad. Okay, he went queen b6, f4, and now he went g6 so that the knight can move, h7 doesn't fall. e4 was played. Now the game is getting very interesting. Knight h5 to attack here, bishop c1. And if white is at some point able to play a successful f5 or even d5, he will be doing really well. And so I really like Narayan's next move as well, which was queen c7. Once again, he understood the needs of the position excellently, and a variation like AB, rook A8, rook A8, and he wins this pawn is not going to be good because he calculates. This is Narayan's another power, that he is able to calculate lines really well. Check, king here, and queen E2, attacking the rook and the bishop. And in the end, black comes out on top. And I'm sure he saw this. So white played e5, and I think Narayanan has won the small battle here, mainly because now these pawns are without that ability to flow in the position. Another nice move, knight b6, and he's ready to give up material. That's the b5 pawn, takes, because if you were to take queen b5, I have knight to d5. Black has sacrificed a pawn but has his knights looking beautifully at these squares. This is the weakness here. So he went bishop e4, and now came rook b8. And I'm really amazed with White's next move. Shows Akobian is a very strong player. He realized that he's in trouble here. He shouldn't play passively because Narayanan is getting his knight here. He'll be left with a bad bishop. So what did White do? F5. Excellent pawn sacrifice. Because now if you take with the g pawn, there is bishop f3 hitting the knight, knight g7, bishop h6, king h1, rook g1, and black is in big trouble. So that's the reason why he took with the f5 pawn, now bishop f3. And once again, it's your question, what should black play here? The first thing which comes to mind naturally is that let's go knight g7. Our knight is attacked, let's save it. But after queen b5, white is actually winning here because you don't have knight d5 anymore. The pawn has been deflected. So that was a very important thing that Akobian did. And here the right move is queen d7, and it requires a lot of how would I put it? Lot of flexible thought, not being completely rigid in your thought process to make a move like queen d7. Because if white takes here, you are left with terrible pawn structure. But it's not about the looks, it's about the function. The knight is coming to d5, and black has good control on the light squares. Bishop a3 was a big mistake, and I think good or bad, he should have taken. Here, white is still fighting. The game is complex, but after bishop a3, knight f4, good move. Bishop d6, and now knight rook c8, queen a1, check here. Knight g5, good move. Bishop g2. Black is completely better here, and I think a very strong move here is knight e4, hitting the bishop. And if you were to take here, then this is just suicide on light squares. The queen will come in and so on. And if you don't take, then I will take this bishop. If you move this bishop away, say bishop b4, I go knight d5. Once again, light squares are tremendously weak. But Narayanan played here f4, and I think that's a very natural move. You want to play f3 and you want to just kill this bishop. But white had a strong move here, which was missed by Akobian. If he had played this, the game would have been interesting. That is queen c1. The point is, if you play f3, then this is hanging. And I think he didn't like queen f5, which anyway recreates the threat here. But the point is, now you go bishop b7, you get the bishop out from here, and then you play f3. And here white is fighting, and the game can go either way. So queen c1 was very good, but he went f3, and now after knight d5, it's all over. The knights are just dominating the bishops, and after h4, knight e6, bishop h3, knight e3, rook f2, very good move, queen d8, attacking here. Bishop e6, you can't take on h4 because of rook h2, but he takes here, rook h2, and now infiltrates from the other side. Rook a6 still cannot take this pawn. There is a mate on the back rank, so queen e1, queen a8, and with the threat of queen takes f3 and rook a1, Akobian resigned the game, and Narayanan scored a very important win. I would say Narayanan is playing brilliantly, and kudos to him. And we hope that even against France in the quarterfinals that will happen tomorrow, he is able to strike. If he does so, India will have excellent chances. For now, this is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.